Well, it's that time again. Time to take down my posters. So long, Pointy Bits. Your services are no longer required. Oh, hello. What's this?
You've got mail.
Gee willikers. Looks like it's not over yet. Hey, mean internet. What should I call this mailbag video?
You should call it Reviewing is Tragic, you friendless freak!
Oh, thanks, internet. And welcome, everyone, to the Supersonic Mailbag! "2,000 years ago, I dished some smoldering hot takes on everybody's favorite toilet brush. And now it's time for me to defend myself against the nicest people in the whole darn world." Actually, everybody's been pretty good. Gamebird says, "Let's go, bros." Beauty pie! So, the thesis of the previous video, What Do We Do with Sonic, was basically that this game character should exist in an open world sandbox built to explore, complete with fun and inventive ways of interacting with it, and that, we should probably also wisen up his character a little bit. And I'm pleased to discover that most of you agree with this, even if there are a couple of issues. Rogue Mephiles Clone says, "Some of the ideas you had early on in the video actually have been done in modern Sonic games, sometimes even in a 2D or 2.5D contexts, like sticking to walls. But yes, Sonic definitely has a fair bit of untapped potential." You aren't talking about the Wisps, are you? No. Also, on the point of inferring Sonic's personality from his silent ear, you forgot to consider his impatient idle animations. There was even one game, CD I believe, where Sonic would actually leave the screen if he waited long enough. That 90s cheese was always there, friend. Yeah, I know. It's just that, given the high-stakes situation and the cool techno wonderland in which he was set, I guess I inferred something different about his personality. Which I thought could have been cool. I thought it could have been amazing. Amazing! Sonic should be amazing! But, at this point, I ain't even mad, bro. Meow. Dear little Brittany says, "So, about that live-action Sonic movie."
Crazy, I'm crazy for feeling so lonely.
Xanthia Geist says, "At this point I think the snarky, cocky attitude is deeply embedded in the public's perception of Sonic. No, I don't think that's going anywhere anytime soon. It'd be like making Super Mario goth or making Link speak." Yep. Well, that's my point.
Well, excuse me, princess.
For years, the Sonic with whom I grew up was mute, and then all of a sudden, it was like watching Gordon Freeman bust in and start doing a beatbox or something. Ooh. Never mind the fact that they reintroduced the mute version of him for generations, and everybody loved it. I must stress, change itself wasn't the problem. It was that the change in question was Poochie to my Itchy and Scratchy.
He's totally in my face!
Wiggity, word up! Rock on, party!
James Hill says, "This isn't Kingdom Hearts 3, but it'll do, I guess." Kingdom Hearts? Yeah, that's right. 30-year-old properties is where it's at. Sly Consensus says, "Regarding Power Rings, it is possible to have them in a 3D world by doing it like on TV, wherein it was a special and rare item misplaced across the game." You mean like the Chaos Emeralds? Well, what do we do with them now? Where does it end? 80 Proof Gameplay says, "You're so good, you deserve at least twice as many subscribers as you have. Sadly, 0 times 2 is still 0. Zing! JK, you're awesome." Should have critiqued Star Wars or something. Is it too late to whinge about Game of Thrones? Computer Player says, "Cool OC, do not steal in the background. Nice way of showing you're a true Sonic fan. I am Marley." Yeah, and I didn't actually make or commission him. Here's a fun game for you. Type your real name plus the hedgehog into Google. You're welcome. Peach Star thinks,
Oh, you want a 3D sandbox Sonic game? Well, I got just the thing for you. Have you ever heard of a game called Lego Dimensions?
Why no, I hadn't until you mentioned it, Peach. And there certainly is a Sonic-themed Lego experience, but they're not sandbox, yeah? They're much more of a gauntlet-y style of thing. Like, Crash Bandicoot.
Oh, for the love of Mike.
Rambletash the Magnificent says, Honestly, that pink bow suits you. Dankeschön, Dankeschön. I love Compossible, says, Dear Anthony, please wax your eyebrows. What's wrong with my eyebrows? Dude, you look and sound like a thwomp from Super Mario Brothers. What? Jeff J says, I don't think there needs to be a reason for rails and rings to just exist. Most games have nonsensical level designs. Grounding everything in reality seems like an unnecessary limitation, especially in a cartoon world. This is what I get for appealing to the SpongeBob generation. But even SpongeBob had a touch of grounding. He had a house of some description. Some sort of imperishable fruit, I understand. An object of reference which lent scale to the dimensions of his otherwise wacky world. It was even in a video game which you could explore. Banjo-Kazooie had one as well, and that was awesome. Banjo, Jak and Daxter, GTA, Zelda. Donkey Kong had one in 2D. And all, you may argue, unnecessary grounding. But attention to detail makes things better. Studley Buck Reviewer says, I think the main problem with having a fast character in an open world game would just be rendering the world quickly enough. Modern open world games are able to render that world during gameplay as you move towards it, but they can only do this by limiting the speed your character can move. If the main appeal of the game is how fast you can move, then that might be harder to do. Well, I simply must protest, my good sir. Even if we accept the premise that speed rules all, when the effective conveyance of that illusion is the difference between walking around at the speed of lounge and then hopping into a really fast car in Grand Theft Auto, well, then, most certainly doable. QED. Lord Luna Equies me very helpfully says, I thoroughly enjoyed this return to form, but I don't agree with a lot of the suggestions and conclusions you make. Such as?
I'm not even 10 minutes into the video, and I already noticed a few mistakes. 1. Sonic does become a snowball in one of the Lost World's ice levels. 2. Sonic 3 and Knuckles and Sonic Mania make use of the spin dash to activate mechanisms. Marble Garden and Lava Reef come to mind. 3. The pink wisp allows Sonic to stick to walls in both the Sonic colors and Sonic generations. 4. In Sonic 2 Metropolis Zone, you have to run on nuts to make them move along a screw. I can't think of any instance of the spin dash being used to ignite something. No, that was actually a pretty cool suggestion, Anthony, and I love you, baby.
Oh, I love you too. And yes, you are correct, Axel, about a great many things. Number 1, Sonic does in fact turn into a snowball in Lost World. But of course, that's not quite what I was suggesting. More of an idea for 2D games, which I suppose could work in 3D, is that as he would roll around a winter level, Sonic would Katamari up more and more snow, and thus mass and momentum, changing the way you play. Perhaps certain obstacles could break clumps of snow away from Sonic, thus reducing the rolling force. But if carefully avoided, could leave the character to become an unstoppable juggernaut, smashing anything beneath him, and even bits of the scenery, and thus possibly revealing secrets. It's just a thought. As for number 2, and 4, I guess, well, you kinda got me there. It's a funny story. I actually did catch this thing from Marble Garden Zone, sticking out of the ground there in Sonic 3, and yeah, it totally changes the level if you stand next to it and spin dash. And I had a clip of it in my video editor, ready to illustrate how it's a good idea, and how we don't see enough of these sorts of things in these games these days, and I didn't put it in. I forgot about it! Mea culpa. But well spotted, you are correct, sir. This is indeed a cool thing they put in there that utilizes Sonic's talents in an inventive way. More, please? I guess is what I have to say about that. Let's expand the concept. As it is, this and the nut and bolt thing are okay, just a little abstract and underutilized. They don't seem to exist for any other purpose beyond getting Sonic from point A to point B, which is fine. Par for the course, really. I mean, lots of video games do something similar, but... Look, I wasn't gonna do this. I spared you all in the main video as a courtesy, but... now you're gone and done did it! Alright, in the latter half of Sonic Mania, there's a level called Titanic Monarch, which takes place in and around the scaffolding support facility of this enormous, Robotnik-shaped Evangelion-esque mecha. It's just sitting there portentously in the background when the whole time you're thinking, oh boy, I can't wait for that thing to boot up. We're gonna see some fireworks, I tell ya. It never happens. And, I can't help thinking there might be some cut content, or maybe they're saving it for the future. And if that's the case, then hear me out. Imagine a zone which takes place entirely inside such a monstrosity, and you gotta make the thing go. Tails or someone is in the cockpit piloting it, but it's out of power, and Sonic has to make his way down to the core and spin dash the knobs of it to give it a charge. Or maybe take the action to each individual limb of the behemoth. But Tails is under attack, so you got to intermittently return to save him from the badniks. The bonus level could be getting to play the zone from the Titan's perspective, cutting a Godzilla's swath across the landscape. I think that'd be cool. It'd be a much tighter level design than what you're used to, but one that emphasizes quick reactions and critical thinking, as well as highlighting the value of Sonic's speed without having to go too far. Oh, shut up. And finally, as to the Wisps... The Wisps are a fun enough, single-purpose distraction from the normal gameplay, but they exist almost exclusively to get your character through a section of the level designed specifically for them. The game doesn't let you employ your genius or skill to try without them, and they offer no lasting utility to a player who might enjoy the freedom to explore at their leisure. Which isn't a bad mechanic at all. Lots of video games do something similar. It's just that... Say what you like about Metal Gear, but when Big Boss gets a new gadget, the game lets him play around with it a bit. And if you think it's unfair to compare this 21st century 3D video game with this 21st century 3D video game, well... you're probably right, but that said, I remember when I was a boy, I thoroughly explored the theretofore unreachable areas and custom-designed secret zones of Sonic the Hedgehog 2 as Knuckles the Echidna, facilitated by his fantastic wall-climbing abilities thanks to the expansion port on top of the Sonic and Knuckles game cart. 25 years ago! A quarter of a century. And apparently for such astonishing innovation, nowadays we have to turn to the fandom to save us. Chilixian says, here before this blows up. Why, is it on fire? Am I lit? Sonic Sparks thinks, I really disagree with you. Aww. On the rings. Oh. I still think they can have a use in a 3D sandbox Sonic game. Like, instead of having a health bar, Sonic can lose rings, but with each hit there will be less and less pick-upable rings until you have one ring left, and you will be only able to pick up one ring until you get some more or die. Well, that doesn't really cover what I was addressing in my video. But, carefully calculating a well-considered implementation to Sonic's ring system that's at least better than what we've seen recently. That I have to respect. Especially the part about giving Sonic a bank account. Now you're talking. In the end, even if Sega doesn't do this in your hypothetical 3D sandbox game, I still can't see there being no rings in a Sonic game. It's that iconic for Sonic. Pun intended! I still love your video. Miss Anthropony says, what should we do? Simple. Make games that don't suck. Meanwhile, Silver the Fox says,
When bronies talk about Sonic, even though their fandom is worse in every way.
what you talking about? Same fandom. John Calcano says, so when are you reviewing Season 8 of Pony? Epicness! Hey, Wibbly, hey! I dare declare, I say. This is much more like it, hey! So, what'd I miss? Okay, so this question would have to come up right as the arbitrarily ascribed Generation 4 of the Hassenfeld brothers' biggest rainmaker supposedly comes to a close, and my silly tweety feed turns into a flippin' wake. Really, boys and girls? Really? Well, yes, I haven't watched the show in a while, but right now I just can't bring myself to poke fun. It's all so sweet and sad as everyone stops by to mash the respect key. I reflect on my dalliance in the world of very maturely and mannishly booing at a children's TV show, on the internet, in my bedroom, via a completely legal download, and I'm genuinely forced to recount all that this lovely show has given me. Art, both visual and musical, inspiration and opportunities, many, many priceless life lessons, fictional and real world, self-knowledge far, far better than before, an income there for a bit, and above all else, friendship. Real friendship. Virtual, IRL, the lot. It's magical. Thank you, every pony. Every brony. Everyone. This has been great. What the fudge?
Time to stop it now! You have to end it! End the show! Put a cork in it!
Whoa, okay. But yeah, okay, that feels like enough. Right? What is that, 15 minutes? Yeah, that's good, 15 minutes. We'll call it a day. We must have made a dent at least in the mail here. Let's see here. Oh yeah, we're about halfway through. Halfway through? When did I start this thing? Flippin' July? July?
I'm a bad YouTuber.
Yeah, that's enough for now. We'll call this a Patreon video. You can donate to that if you want, or abandoned ship. Maybe next week I'll make a shorter video responding to one more piece of mail, and so on and so on, and we'll do a content roundup or something. And that's apparently not all I have to say about that. Ciao for now.